Hello everyone. So we are here to discuss a topic that was published in the KGS magazine. Now the topic is 6 years since abrogation of Article 370. So we are in the month of September and we know that just going back 6 years, the abrogation of Article 370 was done in the month of August. Okay. So what we are going to do is, first of all, we are going to have a brief idea as to what Article 370 of the Constitution was related to. As most of you already know, it was related to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. And we also would see what are the developments that have happened post the abrogation of Article 370. What are the constitutional changes that were made? And after that, because it's been 6 years, so administratively speaking, what are the new developments there? Okay. Starting with Article 370 of the Indian Constitution. So, Article 370 of the Indian Constitution, it was added to integrate the state of Jammu and Kashmir into the Indian Federation. As we know, and as you have already studied, that the state of Jammu and Kashmir was it was a princely state, and the princely states were given an option in the 1947 India's Independence Act, either to join the Indian Federation or to join Pakistan or to remain independent. Now, because of the the political environment that was there, it resulted into the state of Jammu and Kashmir and the Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir. He decided to join the Indian Federation, but joining of Indian Federation was not without any conditions. Primarily, the condition was related to addition of, obviously, Article 370 to the Indian Constitution, which provided some very special provisions related to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, which was added as a temporary and transitional provision under Part 21 of the Indian Constitution. Okay. Along with that, the state of Jammu and Kashmir was given its own constitution. It was given its own flag, and in order to ensure its autonomy, except for few matters like the matters related to defense, foreign affairs, and communication, except for these matters, now Article 370 allowed the state that if suppose the parliament passes a law on any such matters except defense, except foreign affairs, and communication. So if a law was passed related to defense, foreign affairs, and communication, it would automatically apply to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. But except for these matters, even those matters which are mentioned in the union list, even on those matters which were mentioned in the union list, the the bill would require the concurrence of the state legislature. It would require the concurrence of the state legislature. That means until and unless the state legislature ratifies it, accepts it, that would not be implemented in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. That was Article 370 of the Indian Constitution. Okay. Actually, the term was not Legislative Assembly of the state. The term was Constituent Assembly. However, the Constituent Assembly, which was responsible for drafting the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir, was it was dissolved in 1957, and accordingly this power was later on allocated to the Legislative Assembly. Okay, so that was what Article 370 was. Now, along with Article 370, another important provision which was abrogated, which was repealed more appropriately, was Article 35A. Now, this Article 35A was very controversial. The reason was that it was added through a presidential order. So, it was not added through a constitutional amendment, rather, it was added through a presidential order. And the problem with this was that this allowed only the permanent residents of Jammu and Kashmir some special rights. Like specifically, if we talk about the rights related to land, government jobs, as well as educational opportunities. So people were not allowed to buy land in the state of Jammu and Kashmir until unless you had a permanent resident. You were not given opportunities related to educational opportunities like scholarship, etc., and jobs in the state of Jammu and Kashmir until unless you were a permanent resident. Okay. Now, what happened with this whole process of removing Article 370 and repealing Article 35A? So, in 2019, there was a presidential order, and that presidential order amended Article 370, depriving the so-called constituent assembly, that phrase that was used, that would no more be applicable. That provision would no more be applicable. Okay, so what happened was, now the powers was now assumed by the parliament. So because there was a precedence rule in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, the power of the state legislature was assumed by the Parliament of India, and accordingly Parliament, through through an amendment, or through a, you can say, passing a resolution, they abrogated, they did not repeal. Remember, Article 370 is still present, so it's not been completely removed. They have not repealed it, they have simply done what? They have simply changed it to make it more or less, you can say, ineffective. Okay. Along with this, another change which was brought was related to the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act, which meant that now the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir will be divided into two union territories. One, the union territory of Ladakh. So Ladakh was separated, and then there would be a union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The union territory of Jammu and Kashmir would have a legislature. The union territory of Ladakh would be a union territory without a legislature. Okay. This was even challenged in the Supreme Court, but in 2023, in the month of December, the Supreme Court also upheld the constitutional validity of this change. Okay. Now, what were the reasons? What were the problems related to Article 370 and Article 35A? First of all, political integration of Jammu and Kashmir was never complete until unless these two provisions were removed. So it gave some extraordinary powers to the Legislative Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir by somehow not allowing complete political integration of Jammu and Kashmir. So that was one reason. Secondly, was related to equal treatment, because Article 35A deprived deprived the people belonging to other states, and not just people belonging to other states. There were some provisions which did not allow even those individuals who after partition had come to India from Pakistan, and even though they were recognized as citizens, but they did not have a lot of rights in Jammu and Kashmir. Though they were residents of Jammu and Kashmir, but they were not given the rights, no, which the permanent residents of Jammu and Kashmir did enjoy. Okay, so that was one problem. No, Article 370 was also considered to be the problem related to economic growth of the state. The reason was that because land and businesses, they did not, they were not given land rights, corporates were not given land rights, etc. People were not given employment opportunities. That is the reason why economic development of Jammu and Kashmir, it was said that because of Article 370 and 35A, economic development of Jammu and Kashmir had not happened. Similarly, security concerns, because of the the insurgency that is there, along with the fact that it was politically also used. That is the reason why Article 370 was said to be one of the reasons why there are still some security concerns. And finally, the case of political accountability. The special state, or the special powers that were given, this was misused by the political elites of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, that is the reason why the abrogation of this particular provision, Article 370 and 35A, repealing of Article 35A, was considered to be important. Okay, now when it comes to no, when it comes to the assessment, that is, what are the changes that have happened and what are the positive things that we see. So you can see things like democratic politics, positive developments, the elections that were held in 2024 in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, in the UT of Jammu and Kashmir with legislature, the political turnout or the voter turnout was considerably high. Secondly, insurgency and separatism related activities have been considerably low. Yes, there was a Pahalgam incident that happened, and there were a few incidents that have happened. But overall, if you look at the parameters, the markers, like with respect to death, with respect to incidents, it has declined. There has been also a decline in separatism related demands. It has been seen that people are more willing and more accepting of this very fact. There is more investments, so economic development. There is increased revenue. Specifically, we look at the GST collection, it is considerably more. There is improved connectivity, lot of infrastructure work has taken. And primarily, if you look at the tourist footfall, obviously, the Pahalgam incident did create some problems, but otherwise, if you look at it, you would find that the tourist footfall had significantly increased. However, there were some challenges that are still remaining. Like if we talk about cross border terrorism, there are still some incidents that do happen. Pahalgam is a good example of it. So, still saying that completely things are over, that is not the case. And we have seen that overground workers did help the people who were involved in the Pahalgam incident. So, that separatism and the concept of cross border terrorism has not been completely eliminated. Secondly, there are political status, because there are demands of restoration of statehood, because uh, when the 2019 abrogation happened, and Jammu and Kashmir was denied statehood by converting it into a union territory. There is a constant demand that no, the statehood of Jammu and Kashmir should be returned. Okay, there are administrative issues also, because we know that there is a union territory with legislature, it has a lieutenant governor. Now, in that case, there is always a problem related to lieutenant governor and the elected government that is there. If no, we know that what has happened with Delhi till the Aam Aadmi Party government was there, so that problem is also there. Okay, along with the fact that the financial situation of Jammu and Kashmir that is there, it has seen certain deficits. There are tourism, but the Pahalgam incident has created certain problems. And then comes the status of Ladakh. Now, Ladakh has been separated from Jammu and Kashmir, but Ladakh has been demanding that they should get the no, status of sixth scheduled state, which means that it should be no, it is demanding that no, it should be declared as a tribal area, but it is a union territory. Because it's a union territory, there are constitutional problems related to that. Okay, what is the way forward? Restoration of statehood, whenever the government feels that it is the right time, restoration of statehood would be a very important step, because it would reinstate no see depriving the state of its statehood has resulted into people not being no people are not necessarily very happy with this particular political step. So restoration of statehood would be a very positive step. Along with it, the solution of Ladakh issues. There have been issues related to the demand of sixth schedule, etc. So the government of India should look into what can be done for Ladakh. Then comes infrastructure acceleration. See, if there needs to be a complete integration of the region, infrastructure will play a very important role. and there have been a lot of steps that have been taken for it. Some additional steps are required. Then comes democratic procedures. So the reforms that are required, ensuring better implementation of democracy, and finally, security and counter radical steps. As we know that security still remains the concern, it's a bordering state, and that too, borders are shared with Pakistan. There are issues that India has related to security concerns with Pakistan, and the presence of overground workers, because even in the Pahalgam incident, there has been reports of overground workers helping the Pahalgam terrorists to execute what they did. That means the presence of the security concerns remain. So what can be done in order to address this? That would be also a major step in this regard. Okay. So this is what we can say, the last 6 years and the developments related to last 6 years with respect to Article 370 and Article 35A, abrogation of it, repealing it, and then the administrative changes that have happened in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, thank you.